I'll do the same thing if that's all right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. I guess my biggest questions are surrounding the why you have done this in your specific firehouses, and then how you go about it.
Okay, well, I actually learned the 10 for you, 10 for me from a guy named Mark Von Oppen. He's a captain in California, and he got this from his dad, who was a football coach. So it's something that his dad used as a team with the football coach to kind of get the guys buy-in and kind of create that agreement between them. Hey, I'm going to hold you accountable, but you hold me accountable. So, I listened to Mark gave his class about it, and I do other more specific expectations, but I specifically make sure I do these with every single guy that comes into my station. And I've probably done this with a little over 10 people now because I have 2 units, and it's a busier station, so guys get tired of running calls and they want to go to a slower station. So I typically get the younger guys coming in, and what I liked about this is it's not just me telling them, hey, like my rules of engagement are, by 7 o'clock, have your gear on the truck, have your accountability tags, make sure your SCBA is good. This is what we're going to do for a house fire. This is what we're going to do for a pin-in. I have specific ones, but what I like for this is more principle-based.
Yep.
So, and they get to define it. Now, the minute that, the person you're giving is to, they define it, now they have that buy-in for it. And what's great is you can bring this up 6 months later if they're kind of slacking in there you talked about and say, hey, remember when we talked about this? Have I been living up to my end? And yes or no. And then they go, yeah, maybe I should. And it kind of breaks down. It's like they don't feel attacked then. Because I'll give you an example. I had one of my guys go, hey, I don't know if you guys do this, but we also run, if someone falls and cannot get back up, they'll call the fire department, and we'll go help them up.
Uh-huh.
We have a lot of them. And I was getting to the point where I wasn't really helping as much, and I was letting the 2 other guys on my unit help. And he goes, you're asking us to give us everything, but you're not really getting involved on these calls. And I said, you know what, you're right. And guess what? Now they got to fight me because now I'm getting in there trying to get them up. And it's just little things like that. Like they know they can come to me and go, if I'm asking them to do something, it's because I do it, and I don't expect them to do anything that I'm not. And it opens up that communication that, hey, if I'm slacking, they get to call me out. And I want them to because we're human. I make mistakes. We all make mistakes. And what's nice is now they understand that they can come to me. I'm not going to lose my temper. I'm not going to get upset. I'm going to go, you're right. We did talk about this, and it keeps me actually in check too, which is kind of like it took me a couple years to see this aspect of it, but so I really like that aspect of it is where it encourages the guys on my crew to hold me accountable also.
You'll have to I missed that last bit. You cut out a little bit.
Oh, okay. It helps guys in my crew also hold me accountable, and I like that because
so it's two way.
Yeah, if I'm slacking, a lot of times you don't realize it, and they'll go, hey, you're not really doing everything you said you would. I'm like, you know what, you're right, and I will.
Yeah, it shows a good level of trust between you and your crew when they can start calling you out on things. That's good. That's really good. All right, so that's the why. Then how? Tell me how you go about if you get a new guy.
Okay, I actually Saturday I'm gonna. Well, no, he took off. So next week I just got another new one, and so I'm gonna sit him down. And a lot of this was trial and error because I wasn't real clear. Now this is how I do it. I'm not saying how maybe it was intended. And this might change for me in a couple years because what I've learned is everything is just trial and error. What works better, and you just keep trying. And you do this a bunch of times, you get a little better at it. So I'll go back to the beginning of it because when I first did this, I actually had some guys that didn't fill it out, but we went over it orally, so they just talked about it. Those guys did not do as well as the guys that wrote it. However, I can't force you to write this. You know what I mean? You probably got guys like that can be a little bit hard-headed. But we sat down and we went over it. Now, the guys that wrote it out, they got more from this, and they actually excelled more than the rest. So next week, I'm going to sit my guy down, and I'm going to tell them basically I'm going to ask 4 main things from you, and that's to do your job, treat people right, give all-out effort when we do stuff, and have an all-in attitude. We don't. A lot of times, people, at least here, they tend to forget that they're not the chief. We have one chief, and he has a boss, and me as a captain, I got a boss. We all have bosses. We're not all in charge. And so maybe we might like something, but when we have an all-in attitude with something and actually give a lot of effort, it becomes more fun. It's the psychological part of it. Just by, you know what? Yeah, maybe I wish I was going to a fire every day, but I'm not. I got to help this person off the ground. But you know what? I'm going to do really good at it, and I'm going to help them out and be really nice to them, and it makes you feel better too. So I'll sit them down, and I actually have the sheet pulled up here, but I'll go, hey, this is from me, from the captain. You can, and I'll go down each of the 10 things just to make sure they understand, because they have to define it. So I say either define what, like number 1, consistency. Either define it or give me an example of what you think is consistency from your captain.
Yeah,
so
okay.
I'll go through to make sure, like they might go, well, what's forthrightness? Forthrightness is just being honest and truthful. They go, okay. And then I give them a week, maybe. It's not a hard deadline, but I'll keep reminding them, hey, fill this out in your leisure time, because I want them to actually brainstorm, not just put whatever. And bring it back to me. And when they bring it back, we go over it. And I know what they expect from me, and now they also know what I expect from them. And so, like, let's say they went and filled it out. Now they come back to me. Then I'll go over it. And they'll ask me, well, I was confused what you meant by never satisfied. And I'm like, we're never going to be the best. I think it's impossible to be the best, but we can strive to be the best. So I'm going to keep trying different stuff to be better. And they go, oh, okay. And, at the end, they define it. We make sure we're all clear. It creates more of that one-on-one. Now, I do this one-on-one. I don't do a group at it because
I remember reading that.
Group expectations, you start getting into groupthink.
Yeah.
And then people will just tell you what you want to hear, or they won't be as open because they don't want their peers to look down on them, or like you might have someone that's in it to win it, but they don't want to look like they care. So that's why it's good for one-on-one. You separate them from the pack, and then you can go over it, and people can give you as much as they want out of it. And I actually keep all these, and every now and then I was trying to remember to grab them for this call, and I'd go over them, but I got them back at the firehouse in my file cabinet. But I keep every single one of them, and this way, I look over them just to every now and then to make sure, hey, am I still doing the right thing?
Yeah. Just quickly, is that form on the Brotherhood Coaching website?
If you bought the book at fixyourfirehouse.com, it's in the members area. If you are part of the Brotherhood Coaching Facebook group, it's in there. And then if you signed up if you went to brotherhoodcoaching.com and you signed up put your email in, it should give you all the resources that I have.
Yeah, cool. I'm pretty sure I printed it off. I just can't remember.
And, you can pretty much to me, like, let's say, like, how's your ranks go? How is your ranks there?
You there?
Yeah, I'm here.
That's better. How's what, sorry?
Your ranks. You go firefighter, then...
Firefighter straight out of college. Okay. 2 years to qualified firefighter, then senior firefighter, leading firefighter, station officer.
Okay. And then after station officer?
They go leading station officer, inspector.
So inspector is in charge of multiple stations?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, that's like our battalion chief then?
Yep.
And so I'm not a battalion chief, but I would imagine that a battalion chief could make this the same way and saying, like, let's say your inspector wanted to do this for the station officers. He could probably put from your inspector and put from his station officers. I truly believe this is universal to whatever position you have, because this is all about team. And that's one of the biggest things I try to get through to people when there's like behavior or performance issues. And this has been trial and error because it didn't, what I used to do didn't work in the beginning. So I'm like, I got to do something different. And it was, what you're doing isn't hurting the chief you don't like or the inspector you don't like. It's hurting the station officer. It's hurting the firefighters. So what are you trying to do here? And when everyone knows that everyone, like they know this other guy's going to get the phone call, hey, let's go talk. Let me see where you're at. And it helps. It's not, having a piece of paper filled out, that's just the process of it. But it's the follow-up, it's the coaching and all that really makes that team start doing better. And it takes, it takes work with it, but this is something nice to, I give them a copy, I keep a copy. We don't sign it or anything like that, but it's just one of those things you bring back. Hey, remember this? Oh, yeah.
Does your 10 stay the same for your entire crew, or do they change slightly depending on the person?
This is what I have. This is what I use. I haven't changed it because I just think it, like I said, it comes from a football standpoint and teamwork, so it just works. Mm-hmm. Now, if there's something that might work better, I would think you could change some stuff out. I just have chose not to.
Yeah, okay. That's interesting.
Yeah. The whole point is whatever you're going to change, like if you're the station officer and you're going to change it for a fireman, you better make sure it's equal because, people notice if you're not leading by example.
Yeah, and you need the same expectations of your entire crew.
Yep.
That makes sense. All right, back to one of your other points before. You said you had found that things hadn't worked in the past.
Yes.
What were those things specifically?
Trying to think of the word. Basically, when someone screws up, making a paper trail. So, I had a guy, and he was not meeting my expectations.
Yep.
And so I immediately went to, hey, what's going on? Why aren't you doing this? And he goes, oh, I forgot. And he continued. So then I started using my department's counseling forms. Uh-huh. And what I've learned, I'm not saying it works for everybody, but from my experiences, when the minute you use a counseling form, it triggers something in people's brains and they get on the defense. And now they think you're out to get them and you want to get them in trouble. And the minute I started doing that, the situation seemed to get worse. And me and him, it was kind of like fighting fire with fire, know, and that doesn't work too well. So what ended up working was just I started catching him doing good things, like better than other people, and I made sure to let him know. And I saw a different side of him then.
Yeah.
And then I also just built my relationship with him. And what I learned was he was never going to, his attitude, he met the minimum qualifications for stuff, but his attitude, I'd put him on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being your go-getter, awesome guy, I'd put him at a 3. And he's never going to be an 8 until he wants to be an 8, but I got him to a 5 to a 6.
Yeah, right.
So I got him to be a little better. I just accepted the fact he's not going to be an all-star unless he wants it. If he wants it, he could be, but he doesn't want it.
Yeah.
But I could get a little bit more. Yeah. I got this guy to the point where he was starting to train other people a little bit for his position as a driver. He was taking on a monthly responsibility of doing we do pre-plans, and I put him in charge one month, and he did it. And unfortunately, from what I had heard, he's not doing so well now. Now, he's been away from me for 2 years. So that just shows me that doing what I do works. And if you don't do it, people that you brought up, they're going to slip back down because they're going back to their baseline. So you can get more out of people, but it takes work. And I just never had good luck. I don't like to go to, I'm not saying written forms don't work, but they should be a last-ditch effort. First-ditch effort should be hey, what's going on? Why are you not wearing the right gear for this call? Or why aren't you doing this? I don't understand. Can you help me out? I want us all to work good, and we all know what each other's doing. And then showing them you're not out to get them, and you just want a team flowing good, and that, every night you're going to get a wild card every now and then. But most guys respond well just to having a nice conversation and being made aware. But then you also want to make sure that if you're going to someone talking about something that they didn't do that was negative, then make sure you're always talking to more, though, about their positives.
Yeah.
Because there's some people, the only time they call you on the intercom is when they're going to chew your butt, you know? So I like to try to make sure. Now, I got a crew now that there's really not much, you know, they're all good, you know? But I'm sure, you know, I still got 8 to 10 more years, so it's going to change. And, you know, you have to make sure you have that good balance of you're doing a lot more positive reinforcement as opposed to the negative conversations, the corrective conversations.
Yeah. It sounds like the crux of the effectiveness of it really relies on how informal it is. And you've obviously got excellent people skills. And like you say, just the constant follow-up on those things.
It's building the relationship and not making it like a black and white thing. Just telling them, hey, and some people are going to be more resistant, and you know that's part of the process. And you got to learn, hey, it's almost like when you get the more resistant people, you become a little bit better. And I've had some of the most resistant attitudes in my beginning, and I knew it was going to be a struggle, and I didn't realize how hard, because I mean, basically everything I went through is why I ended up writing the book. Because I got through it, and I was like, oh, okay, I made it, you know? I'm sure there's other people having the same problems out there, and maybe this will help.
Yeah. It's excellent. I wish I could give that book to every station officer and inspector in our job.
Thank you. I'm glad you like it.
It's so good. And that's coming from, like, I've got a little bit of management experience outside the fire service.
Okay.
I'm only a qualified firefighter at the moment, but I would love my bosses to have that sort of understanding.
Well, it's kind of I try to be the officer that I always wanted, because you know, I had one that used to I'd only see him on calls. He'd hide stuff to make sure we were checking the truck right. He'd almost instigate personality clashes. I mean, it was horrible.
Yeah, it's off the chain.
And you're just like, this doesn't have to be this way. Like, we can come in and we can do our job and we can still have fun.
Yeah. You mentioned before that you had resistant people.
Yes.
Does your delivery method change? Like, how have you actually dealt with those people specifically?
What I realized is I needed to build my relationship with them and kind of find some common ground. And you almost have to do something in multiple different ways so they understand, like, I'm not out to get you. I don't want headaches. You know, I was also very fortunate at the time that I had some other members on my crew that helped me out.
You'll have to... Can you repeat all that for me again? That connection cut out. It was only ifs and buts.
I was actually fortunate that some of the people on my crew also helped deliver the message also. They're like, hey, you know, like, the captain's struggling with you, and he's frustrated. And I found out the guy I was having issues with was also frustrated. So if I could have sooner have broken those barriers down and told him, hey, this is driving me nuts, we got to come up with a solution, then maybe I could have avoided a lot of headaches. You know, a lot of times we make up stories in our head why something happened, as opposed to just trying to sit down and talk to the person, because by nature, we're all very emotional. So we jump to conclusions, and that just creates more problems. You know, me and him, we had our issues, and then things got better. And then by the time, because he was with me for probably a year and a half to 2 years, I'd say. And by the end, everything was good. And I had to do a yearly eval. And his yearly eval, I said, here's the deal. We already addressed all our former issues. In my opinion, we don't have these issues anymore, so that's not getting reflected in this. The sigh of relief, because he thought he was going to be in there and get all these bad remarks.
Yeah, he thought he was going to get smacked.
Yeah, maybe I was wrong doing that, but I just felt like me putting those bad remarks, we already went through it. Why am I going to rehash it and go through it again? It's almost like bringing up something, if you're married, bringing up something from the past. It's not going to do any good bringing it up now. If it's already been dealt with and you're good, move on. And that's what I chose to do. Right, wrong, or indifferent, that's what I did. And I started noticing changes in him, like, for the better. And I'm like, hey, I'm not out to get you. You know, this guy had, when I got there, he had 10 years on me, on the department. And he had, like,
That's a hard position to be in.
He had 10 more years on me, and he was 15 years older.
Wow. Yeah.
And
it's tough.
He used to be a captain and actually got demoted.
Okay.
Like 5 years
that's
prior.
As it gets.
There was, like, I don't know if you could deal with a behavior issue than what I had to face, and it made me better, and, to this day, I mean, we have a good relationship, you know what I mean? So, he ended up, he left.
So, was an individual with the department and what was happening around him.
Hang on 1 second, you're breaking up. All right, now try.
You got me. Was that individual, was he particularly jaded with the department and his work context?
Yeah, I don't know specific. I think the demotion put like a chip on his shoulder. He always kind of had a chip, but it got worse with that. And I don't know why, because outside of work, nice person. It's just and what I've learned is when you meet people like that have that chip, they had some failed leadership along the way. And normally when you face adversity like that, you go one of two ways. You either go the negative route and you get a chip on your shoulder, or you just push through it and you're like, well, you know what? I'm going to make sure I'm never like this to anybody else, and I'm going to go this route.
Yeah.
So we all take different routes, it's just one of those things that you can just try to help someone, but you can't fix someone that doesn't want to be fixed. But you can try to make the environment better so that they start performing better.
Yeah, it's that old you can only lead a horse to water.
Yeah.
Analogy, really, isn't it? Yeah. I was going to ask just before that yearly. Did you call it an eval? Is that something that your department does?
Yeah,
or just something that you do?
No, it's something my department does, and like our city does. They really don't. Right now, they're not tied to pay raises or anything like that. It's just a yearly eval that, for the most part, everyone does fine with. Your occasional person might get some poor remarks, but it's not really tied to anything.
Yeah, so that's a formal performance management thing?
It's a performance of eval, an annual performance eval.
Okay. Is eval an acronym?
Oh, evaluation.
Oh, evaluation. Right. Yeah, of course. Duh, sorry, it's early here.
That's fine.
Okay. I don't know whether your department is similar to ours in the sense that there's a real generational gap at the moment between the young guys coming in and the old guys that just want to do it the way that they've done forever. Do you have any problems going between the two with this sort of process? Like, does your method change between younger generations and older generations?
For the most part, the guys that I'm getting right now are younger than me and have less time on.
Yeah.
However, I just had two guys that were with me, but they wanted to go to a slower station, and they were both older than me. But they didn't have more time on. So the way I act, I adjust it. The responsibility I give, I adjust. I still do the same expectations. But I try to find someone's strong point, and I put a spotlight on it. So I had a guy, he was a driver, he's an engineer, so that's just below a captain on my department. And he was also an acting captain. So that means, like, if I was off work, he would sit in that seat for me.
Yep, that's what our leading firefighters are.
He had some leadership, and he would tell you how it was. And so we were having issues with a younger firefighter that was new. The guy, he actually just didn't want to be there because he actually ended up, he was either quit or be fired because of his performance.
Yep.
And but he kind of took him under his wing. Like, he actually told the kid, he goes, hey, you can't use your cell phone anymore because it's affecting your ability. Now, could I tell you that? I don't know, because we don't have a policy on it. but this guy could. So
Okay.
I try to give some responsibility and ownership to my guys with some time on to take these other guys under the wing and kind of see what they do. So with guys that are maybe older or have some more experience, you try to give them more responsibility in areas, but good responsibilities. Like the one senior man, I said, well, make sure the station gets cleaned by the young guys. I don't even want to do that. You know what I mean? So I gave him like a silly task, and it didn't work. But what did work is when I asked him to take care of training 1 month because I was going to be out of town. And here was another aha moment. He actually wanted to be an instructor at the fire academy. I never knew this. So he got excited by the fact that he was going to put on this drill, and he actually went and told the other guys, hey, I'm in charge of drill this month. And that's when I started realizing, wow, I got to start kind of giving some more out. So I've had other guys like with construction background, hey, can you build me a forcible entry prop? I just asked another guy, will you build us a roof ventilation prop? You know, because he's got a construction background. I just, whatever they're good at, one of my guys designed off-duty shirts.
Yeah, wow.
So he was into that. I go, hey, I will help you, but I'm not going to do it. I don't have any say. It's all you. And people are like, hey, did you make that shirt? I go, nope, one of my guys did. And, you know, it might not seem much, but to me it's big because this is all stuff I was doing, and now I'm watching the next generation to start to do stuff, and I'm just helping them through the process and then like giving them, here, go with it. And you know, guys like that, you know, just it's especially if they got time on, give them like your guys that just want to do the work and the generation gap. Maybe they need to have the ownership of, hey, you've got 20 years on the job. Can you show some of this stuff to this kid with 1 year on? I know he doesn't know how to start a saw, but can you show him? Can you show him how to start a saw that's been flooded? You know, share your experiences. And the generational gap, I think, has always been there. It's just because it's almost like every generation, oh, these new guys don't know anything. These new guys, it's up to us to show these new guys. And it's just some of us get that and some don't. And the quicker we can share stuff and show them, the quicker they're going to hit the ground running, because, you know, you go back a couple generations and everyone was in the trades. You know, they were a carpenter, a painter, a builder, whatever. Now you can get out of college or high school and become a firefighter right away. So what trade do you have? You know, I learned most of anything I know being a firefighter because I started when I was 16. You know, I've worked different jobs here and there, but pretty much I grew up in the fire service, so this is what I know.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of guys my age and younger coming in with university backgrounds.
Yeah.
They leave school, go to uni thinking they want to do one thing, and then they go, oh, I don't want to do that. Maybe I'll join the fire service.
So you're going to have different backgrounds, but then try to use that. But give them, you know, the blue-collar aspect of, hey, this is a blue-collar job. You know, we have to use technology. It actually can help us make stuff easier, but at the end of the day, we have to know these skills, and you can get some of these older guys to share that. Yep. Listen, I think we've covered all the bases. Okay. That's fantastic. Thank you so much for your time. You're welcome.
I'll certainly, I might shoot you an email if I've got any further questions.
Yeah, just let me know. Let me know how everything goes with it. I'd love to have a recap and see if you guys start seeing some changes. It'll take a while.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, because as far as I know, I'm the only captain on my department doing this with these expectations.
Okay. Yeah.
Now in August is going to be I started an officer development school along with some other people, some other chiefs and captains last year.
Yep.
So this is going to be our second time doing it, and I share it in it, and I give anybody I work with can have anything I have. And
you just put it out there for anyone to use. A lot of stuff is
just going to be maybe the guys that I train, they'll do it, and maybe the guys they train will do it. You know, it's just it's a slow process, but someone's got to start it.
Yeah, absolutely. So a little bit of background of how we've come to have this meeting. We got a new commissioner in the early stages of last year. He's come from New Zealand. Oh. His name's Paul Baxter. He listened for the first 12 months and ran some massive strategic planning meetings. We've got over 7,000 fireys in our state. They're a range of permanent, full-time, what we call it's like from work or home, and then we've got a small section of volunteers as well. He ran some huge meetings across the organisation to find out what the deep-seated issues were. And then I've been a part of some culture workshops with a cross-section of the company, and they're talking about good behaviours, bad behaviours, where we are now, where we want to be in another 10 years. So I was reading your book at the time of this meeting and mentioned a couple of things out of it, and my chief superintendent really just loved this particular idea. So he's kind of made me the project officer, and I got to give him a bit more detail.
Yeah, I think especially when you deal with like a higher up in an organization, that something like this is what's going to work, because it's almost as it goes down, it should be more specific. But when you're leading from top, you kind of just want more values. That's just my take on it. You know, I've never been higher than a captain, so you know, it's just. Yeah, I think that could help you guys with it, and a lot of it is going to be more than just a piece of paper. It's just coaching the guys through it, and then mimicking the behavior that you say you're going to do.
Yeah.
Because I can just tell you, you know, I don't work for, you know, we're a busy firehouse, but we're not, you know, my company got a pin in yesterday, so I had to do an extrication. But you know, we're not getting fires every day. We're getting a lot of medical calls every day. We're picking up people every day. So it's not the crazy calls that you signed up for. They're not coming in all the time. We get them, but so that's not keeping it up. It's I got to come up with different ways, and what I've learned is the more I just go, you know what, I'm going to give it my all in this training, or I'm just going to try to go to bed tired tonight. The day just goes by better, and Tony Robbins talks about it a lot. Basically, where you know. Your focus goes, your energy flows, and you can change a lot of your behavior and how you feel just by changing your physical state. So doing a quick workout will actually make you happy, you know, stuff like that. So, you know, it's just getting the guys to understand that the one thing they don't want to do is actually what they need to do, and then they'll actually be a lot happier, and everything will flow good. So I'd say absolutely. I wish you best of luck, and keep me in the loop.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. And I think I'm gonna. Do you want to email me your postal address, and I'll send you a patch for your tiki bar?
Oh, absolutely.
That'd be good.
Oh, you can see it in the background.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the only one I recognise is the FDNY one, because I got one a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, okay. I went to Italy maybe 10 years ago, and I actually met an Australian fireman on the train there.
Okay.
But, yeah.
Do you know where he was from?
Oh, this was 10 years ago. I have no idea.
No idea, no.
No, not a clue.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's funny. You've got my email address, don't you?
I
think I sent it to you.
I've got through Facebook.
I'll send it to you again.
Okay. Yeah, send it through Facebook, and then I'll email you my mailing address there.
Awesome.
Okay.
Cool. All right. Thank you so much for your time, John. We'll be in touch.
All right. You're welcome, Nick.
Cheers. Take it easy.
All right.
Bye.